Hi, welcome to my first ever presentation. Why code with LDT? Who am I? I'm Kevin Kinfo. I'm working at Sierra Wireless, and I work on LDT since 2009, which was really the early days of the application. At the very beginning, it was the subject of my internship, but after it evolved to become a real project, and several areas of the project have been rewriting with my fellow teammate Marc Aubry and Simon Bernard, which is now project lead. The approach. Hi. The approach when you code on when you use on IDE, there is always a subject. Is it best to use on IDE or on editor? In this same family of subjects, you have why should I use LDT more than else other IDE, and after people tend to wonder about what LDT has to offer. Well, I won't even enter the first role. It's not about converting or seducing editor user. If they like to do everything by themselves and feel in control of every point of the code writing or the software programming process, they can continue to do so. In LDT, we just try to stay light, and we don't aim to convert anybody. So you might see the next. Might see this coming. We're not even talking. I won't be talking about other IDE either, because we aim to provide the user a good experience, and we don't really want to steal other community. We want to grow our own and to please users by the way we do things. So. The real approach, I will just tell you now about what LDT has to offer. So what does it have to offer? Well, that's the top features, because as we have limited time today, I won't cover it all. I will be a bit general, but a bit general, and talk nevertheless of the biggest feature we have. So it's going to be crescendo. So first I will talk you about a feature I like a lot, which is code formatting. Then we will continue with code navigation in order to discover the code nicely. We'll then enter the core of an IDE, at my opinion, which is code assistance, enable you to code faster, easier. And after this, I will show you a really big feature, as LDT is used for Lua, and Lua is a dynamic language. It's very, very hard to provide debug and assistance for dynamic languages, and we will see why. And after we have, I will just give some simple sample examples of why it's good to be part of the Eclipse ecosystem. So now let's talk about formatting. To be fair, the formatter is not really a formatter. It's more like an indenter. It will just apply semantic depth to the code you're writing, because reading the forums or the Lua mailing list, or every way we could gather user feedback, we came to realize that Lua users don't really want something like the Java formatter as instance. They don't want their line to be changed. They only want they only wanted the indentation. So that's what we did. It's a rely on Meta Lua. It is configurable between spaces, tabs, and even the fancy mixed, if you want to mix spaces and tabs. It is also available as a single project. So if you only interested in contributing to the formatter, you don't have to understand or to process or to dig in the whole LDT code bases. And it's also a rock. For those who don't know, the one-off, but I think it's the biggest package manager of Lua is Lua Rocks, like pip for Python, or I forget for Ruby it's Gem. I'm not really sure. Saying it's a rock is saying that the formatter is available from Lua Rocks. Like with all Eclipse different projects, you can apply your formatter settings, persist your formatter settings in your projects. So while someone clone your project and start working on it without even noticing, this person will format its code like everybody else. So it's easy collaborative work. Now, another thing we expect from IDEs is code navigation, being able to discover a project or library we just get on really easily and quickly. And furthermore, when you, for instance, in a file, being able to keep track on local variables, global variables, and when you're using a local function, know where it's from when it was declared. It's really helpful as everything is dynamic. You may see the parameters, but how are they used? You can go see by yourself. Now we're entering a more thick subject, which is code assistance. It's hard to provide code assistance for Lua because Lua is dynamic, and with code assistance, what you do basically it's help your user using a type. When you're handling the thing we're handling most of the time when we're coding are variables or functions, and to know what to do with a variable or what return a function, it's related to type. So we came with a concept to apply gently a type system on Lua for helping the IDE. And even with this system, we're also capable of writing definition of environments. So the condition your program is supposed to run in. And I will explain this later. So a type system, yeah. Why? So just as I said earlier, we can't really help user without knowing anything about type. If you don't know about type, you just became an editor. You don't provide really. You don't help user much. So I will give you some examples and other examples on the way we apply this type system to Lua code. Yeah. So, refocusing on the why, when you have a type system, you just bootstrap everything. You're now able to provide a completion proposal, and the more information you have on type, the more information you have on the code, and the more valuable your your completion proposal become. And another constraint is, as Lua is flexible, we didn't want to clutter this, because for an IDE it's hard to understand dynamic languages, but in fact Lua users are here for that. It's this dynamic aspect they like. So the concept was to know more about the type, but don't get in the way of Lua of being dynamic, and of Lua user to enjoy this. The main examples of what it's hard to provide code assistance in Lua are the things that are the most used in Lua. So function and type and tables, because when you write a Lua function, the return type, there is no return type. You can return whatever you want, and that's tricky for IDEs. And tables are also a hard type to deal with, because Lua tables is it's a map, but processed in a specific way by Lua. There is a map area where in the table there is key and values, and there is a list area in the in the table, which is the part composed of natural integers and values. And all this is the same type, but the uses are different. So it's hard for an IDE to know when a user is using his table or her table, like a list or a map. So now, examples. So I provide a simple caller function. This function just call another function, take the result, add something, and return the modified result. So when calling this function, we have the colored variable at the end. What do you expect as a completion proposal on it? Because at a semantic level, we lose the information. Even if we knew what was returned by the def function, when it's returned by the color function, we still don't know. So our solution to this is to use a documentation language like Javadoc or LuaDoc in Lua. We didn't use directly LuaDoc because there wasn't enough type in a LuaDoc for us to use. So we have to add this type concept I just spoke earlier about to the code documentation. So to add things, we can quick type variables with a common prefix annotation, and we use a little inference to save you the pain of writing too much documentation, especially when the codes already means something. And a way to handle the constraint to keep Lua really dynamic is as our documentation language is hidden behind comments, your code is still indeed compatible to all Lua interpreters. We didn't make a specific Lua. So now this is the same sample as earlier. We just had the type tracking information. At the beginning, I just define a type in the documentation language, and on the function, I say with the return and the name of the type that the function return this very specific time. So using your code as you did earlier, at the end we know the type of the colored variable and we're able to use code completion on it, code assistant. And sometimes you just use a library and you're not yourself able to document everything in this library as you're just a client of the code. So that's where we come with the concept of quick typing. When the type is still defined at the beginning, you can not tell which type the function return, but say what is the type of the function of the variable you just declared. That's what just at the end. And this concept of code documentation can help for other things. I didn't, in the previous samples, as just use the type descriptions, but it's also possible to provide textual information. So the documentation language, like Javadoc and the others, is useful for the machine because we know what type, we know more about the type we are handling, but it's also useful for humans because when needed, you can put textual description of your code. And above this, you can even describe an API without providing the code, and that's so LDT will consume those files to provide code assistance for everything, and it's useful for modules, libraries, and environments such as video game frameworks. Once you have this, LDT is aware of all the method and modules of your library, and you start to code pretty much like in GDT. Pretty much. The concept I just talked about, the description of all the framework is packed in what we call execution environment. Nothing fancy. It's a zip file with documented arborescence, which contains the documentation about your framework, and loading this in your project enable code assistance for everything in a single step. And as I said earlier, it's convenient it's convenient in many ways for those who don't want to provide the code, those who can't provide the code as maybe it's heavy or it's too much specific in some areas, and even from a C library they can being documented with the documentation language. This documentation can be passed, and the resulting file can be consumed by LDT or in an execution environment. So you're able to have to know about the library you're using, even if it's written in another language. Like earlier with the formatter, this capability of generating, of understanding and generating code documentation is also available as a single project it is also a rock, and the execution environments are not are not really forced to. They have not to be from us. You can write your own, distribute it, maintain it. You have full control of your execution environment, or in the way, or of the result of your code documentation. Now I will just do a little debug, because I won't show everything that we are capable of, because I assume at EclipseCon all the users are familiar with debugging. So I will just show some specifics of our project. So I'm just listing some of them here. So in Lua there is no type object. In fact, it's you can use objects, but it's a way of handling tables. And when you're debugging, you just see a regular table, and you don't have really a quick look what's useful for you in this object. So in LDT there is the possibility to create your own module for displaying a value at debug time. And using the same API, the same way of doing things, you are also capable of having a custom, valuable display for the C data, which are from the Lua JIT. You can have this just by entering your Lua JIT interpreter in LDT. So now I will do just a little demo. I will show that with LDT you're able to debug out of the box even when Lua is not installed on your machine. Then I will show you a little bit of formatting. It will be quick. I won't do all the grammar. After doing the demo, you will notice that globals and local variables are visually differentiated. And I will show the Lua JIT integration at the end of the demo. Here we go. Yes. Yes. So now I will try the out of the box. So I will I'm just creating a Lua project. It's nothing fancy, just to show you that it works out of the box. I've made a mistake. Lua project. We'll call it out of the default execution environment, and that's it. Finish. I don't know if you noticed, but these things I was talking, it is the execution environment I was talking about earlier. So if let's say I do IO dot, and I will have a completion on it, you see. But let's stick with print something, and yeah, we can try to format this to see, just to see. Oh, something, it's not something. Source, format. There you go. It also works with expression. So if I do something like if true or false, then I don't know how to write today. No, that will cause an error. LDT and so how does it? I'm using the shortcut now. Semantically, it's all indented statements and expressions. I was talking about out-of-the-box debug. So we just try to stop here on the print. Click, debug as Lua application. So there are no values to show, which didn't declare any variables or what, but it works out of the box. So next. Back to the Lua perspective. Earlier, just a few slides ago, I was talking about Lua JIT integration. Here is a sample from the Lua JIT code documentation. It looks a bit more like real code. So here is the C data I was talking about. From the FFE, you can define a C structure. And here we'll have something called RGB pixel, and you can tell it really looks like C. And the type is used here to create a table, and there is a loop over the table. So I will just stop here to show you that the red, green, blue, all the fields of the RGB pixel are visible from debug. So I already configured this earlier. So now we stop in it. Where are, yeah, they're here. So you can see that the local variable image is available. So without our FFE integration, you don't have this little arrow here. But with the integration, you're now capable of browsing your FFE C structure. So it seems really silly for JDT power users, but in the dynamic world of Lua, I think it might help some JDT users. And that's it, I think, for the demo. I promise it was a quick one. So now we're ending the presentation. Just a slide about Eclipse integration. Working as LDT is a member of the Eclipse Foundation, and we're integrated in the release train. You can benefit from other projects such as eGit, mailing to handle your daily tasks, Bugzilla or Jira, even CDT for the one who works tightly in Lua and C. And I hope showing you this give you, I won't say the urge, but tempt you to use LDT, and I'm ready to answer questions if you have some. Thanks a lot for being here.